Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Welcome to New Life Live. Friends and family, we're glad that you're with us today. Chris Williams sitting in for Steve again. And I have with me Milan Yerkovich.
Hey, Chris.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
It's been a little bit since we hung out.
Mm-hmm. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yep. I had a little staycation at home for a while and then did some things, and we're all back. Back in the saddle.
Yeah.
We missed you, Milan.
Oh, thank you, Alice.
Missed you. Yes.
Yeah, it's always good to be back.
And, of course, the lovely voice you hear, Dr. Alice Benton.
Hello, folks.
And good to see you. Mm-hmm. We get to hang out all the time.
Yes, we do. A little too much, actually. Steve, come back.
So we got to pace this a little bit, right? We got to pace this.
That was kind of cold, Alice, but that was funny.
I'll take it.
I'm snarky today, folks.
I love it. So, hey, we are here to help you out. We want to take your calls. We want to talk to you. We want to get you heading in the right direction. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. But I have a question for you guys to start off with. What if you run into this problem that a therapist or therapy isn't available and you need to do some work? What do you do?
Personally, I started with groups. I started with free groups. I didn't have a lot of money to invest in therapy, and it can be pricey. So I started to look for small groups at churches. I tried out Al-Anon. I ended up trying out probably 7-8 different groups before I found one that met everything that I was looking for. And then when I could, I added individual therapy to it. And lastly, it's so often therapists are willing to lower their price and offer sliding scale fees. So don't hesitate to ask if therapy does seem too expensive to you.
Yeah, that's good. Really good.
And I have I did not know you were going to ask this question, but I have a very self-serving answer to give to you.
I want to hear your self-serving
All right,
answer.
here it is. Number one, get on a waiting list because eventually your turn will come up. In the meantime, there are tremendous online resources available. At our website, there's a resource for a couple to go through a workshop together.
So
and to start the Relationship 101.
Yeah.
Not Relationship 180, howwelove.com.
Howwelove.com,
And to go there, to attend one of the workshops here at New Life. All of these are resources available to you. Some of them, and many of them, a lot of the resources are less than one session of counseling.
Yes.
Online. And then to find, as you said, Alice, groups are really important. And it's a good start.
Yes. And calling us, folks. A lot of people say that a call to New Life was their first venture into therapy.
Yeah. And when we think about therapy, especially in the context of our Christian faith, we're talking about a healing and growth process. And so healing and growth can happen in so many different ways. Obviously, here at New Life, we have tons of resources as far as books go. Obviously, we have our workshops. We have a nationwide network of therapists. But as you mentioned, there is so much out there. And one of the things that has been therapeutic for me, healing and growing for me, is getting together with other guys and being intentional and talking about real life stuff and beginning that process.
You know, Chris, we use that word therapy, and that's not a buzzword in churches typically, but therapy is getting somebody from point A to point B,
yes,
relationally or personally, and that's what sanctification is. It's a growing up of your inner self to one day hopefully match your chronological age.
Absolutely. And I love that growing up of your inner self. So give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. Love to talk to you, and we'll be right back.
I have a 15-year-old. She is very defiant, rude, and disrespectful to me.
Children don't come with a set of instructions, so what's a parent to do?
She has very intense screaming fits.
Do you feel equipped to tackle the tough decisions and issues that can have a lifelong impact on your kids?
I have a 11-year-old daughter, and I'm trying to help her with the situation regarding school.
Are your children ready to thrive in this culture?
I just feel like I'm at the end of my rope with her.
Let New Life's online one-day workshop, Fearless Parenting, Preparing for the Teen Years, help. It's Saturday, October 2nd. You'll learn about bullying, discipline, boundaries, challenges in parenting, smartphones, social media, and screen time, how your own struggles affect how you parent, and much more. With insightful teaching and the guidance of a credentialed New Life counselor, this one-day workshop can equip you to meet the challenges of raising children in the 21st century. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We're going to go right to the phones. We're going to go to Mary in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, listening on WAVA. Mary, are you there?
Yes, I am, and I am so thankful that you, Chris Williams, are there today.
Oh, well, that
Wow.
you just made my heart leap, Mary. Okay, so I am now I'm all ears. Now I'm all in. So, Mary, how can we help you today?
I'm going to go take a coffee break.
I'm coming with you, Milan.
Sounds like all we need is Chris today. But Mary, thanks for calling.
I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of you. The reason I said this for Chris is because I called in. I'm Mary from Harpers Ferry. I called in on July 2nd with Steve Arterburn. It was Chris Williams, and I believe I think her name was Becky.
Mm-hmm.
She has the short blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I called in. I'm 61 years old, and I was full of fear and really desperate. And you all told me, you suggested that I go to the Emotional Freedom Workshop on August 14th. And I did that. And I cannot tell you how much it has freed me. I can't even... I was laying in bed almost every day for as much as I could before I had called the show, before I'd gone to this program, to this workshop. And you know what I've been doing pretty much about every morning now since I've had that workshop? I get up, I have my coffee, I get right out in the yard. I've been gardening this morning. I'm 61 years old, laying in bed for a long time. But I did what I had to do. I was keeping up, but it was just barely.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was out in my garden mowing my grass 4 hours today. That's how much energy I have now.
Oh, that's
Wow.
awesome. Okay, so Mary, what was it? Yeah, what was it for you? You what led you to the workshop? What did the workshop do for you? And then where are you now?
Okay. What the two main things? It's done many things, but the two biggest biggies, I think, for me was I found out that I had an attachment disorder, which has relieved so much of my trying since childhood to relate to people. I didn't know what I was doing wrong, and now I know. Now I know why.
Yeah.
And the second biggest thing was the trauma that I went through as a child with the rejection, and I was also the scapegoat, I found out, of the family. And I also, not only that trauma, I had my children very young, at 16 and 18. My son went through a lot of trauma. He's 40, he'll be actually 45 this year. I had him when I was 16. And he's gone through a lot of trauma. And I found out that his trauma, I was traumatized by his trauma.
Yeah.
And I thought I should know how to handle that as his mother. I never knew how to handle it.
Yeah.
And now I know why.
Right.
Mary,
I was
you
traumatized.
are a testimony, sister, and you are just giving hope to folks and encouragement to follow the path that you walked. Mary, is there something that we can help you with today? You've broken through so many barriers already.
Oh, I have, and I prayed. So I prayed. My prayer was this morning in my garden. And I talked to God in my yard. I just talked to Him all morning now. My prayer was that this could be a help to others and a good testimony to God.
Wow.
God is really, really working through you all, and and we heal through relationships. I never knew that we really do heal through relationships. And the one thing I would like to just ask you is, when I give my testimony, I came to know Jesus at 19 in my bedroom. When I give my testimony, I'm kind of uncertain about how much of my past before Jesus, because it was a lot of sin and stuff. It was very troubling, and I don't want to glorify sin. And I'm just kind of, how much should I tell people? I don't know. I really don't.
Mary, there's a good rule of thumb.
And I know.
There's a good rule of thumb for this, which is go with the headlines. Especially when you're speaking to a group, go with the headlines. But in more intimate conversations, one-on-one, as you realize the details of your story could serve another woman, then consider going into some of the details.
I like that a lot. Go with the headlines.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's good. And also I want to say Chris Williams, that's why I was so thankful, Chris, because you had talked to me. You told me I had a lot of fear.
Yes.
And you said I had it for a long time, and I was wondering how you knew that. Because I had it since childhood.
Yeah.
And that's why I was so thankful when you answered the phone.
Well, thank you for that. And so, Mary, one of the things is as we get to work with people, many different people over and over, we pick up patterns, and patterns can be actually displayed in voices, in how we talk, how we say something. We're constantly communicating, and man, our nonverbals communicate a lot. And so I could just hear the fear in your voice, and it felt deeper. So I'm like, So actually, if I can give you a hint, I took a guess, but it was an educated guess. Based on experience.
And the more difficult a person's adulthood, Mary, we can deduce the more difficult their childhood. And they do go hand in hand until a person chooses to do what you did, Mary. And here's the cool thing. Mary is answering your question about you posed in the first segment. What do we do? What are some alternatives to getting into a therapy office? And she came to the workshop, the Emotional Freedom Workshop, and she found some emotional freedom because people don't have words to describe and put a formula or 2 and 2 or cause and effects to get cause and effect together. And it's freeing to have answers for why do I feel the way I do? Yeah. Why do I act the way I do? It's freeing.
And I think some of the really important things that we pick up on is that we look at relationships as a great indicator of our past. And I think that that's the importance, one of the many things, the importance of how we love. You talk a lot about it, Milan, is imprints. And what we can use as attachment disorders is basically a fancy way of saying, I have a hard time with relationship and being close to people and figuring out how to be close to people.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have to unlearn what was programmed into us as children, and we have to relearn something new.
Yes.
And that's a part of what God calls sanctification and change and growth from the inside out.
Yeah.
Mary, you have been a rock star for us, and you've helped us and others, so we're very grateful for your call. Keep in the process, girl. Keep in the healing process.
And I plan on it. I bet. Thank you all so much.
Awesome. Well, Mary, thank you. Thank you for your encouragement. For me, but I just want you to know the biggest thing that I'm encouraged by is that you courageously are facing your own pain. You're seeking a healing process, and you're growing in a way in which you can find more freedom both in your relationship with God, but also in your usefulness in God's work and purpose. So Thank you. We're going to send you a copy of the Life Recovery Bible. I think that is a phenomenal resource as we're, again, recovering through pain, recovering through addiction, is that it's such a complementary thing as we're looking at recovery. Another word we use in the Bible is redemption, is constantly, it's sort of like this cycle that God is doing over and over and over and over again. And the Life Recovery Bible helps you see that really, really well.
One of the things I loved about what Mary said, and this is something that all of us should be really aware of, is how can I share this information with others?
Yes.
She goes, how do I share my testimony? And that is just such a beautiful thing to think, I've experienced some transformation. First, in my salvation with Christ. Secondly, in a larger relational way and emotional freedom. How do I share that story? And it gives people hope to know that people can change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that changes. And because our despair can get really, really sticky and stubborn.
Well, and she was laying in bed.
Yes.
So much. She couldn't get up. She got the essentials done, but she wasn't inspired and motivated to get up. Now she's productive again.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the major signs of depression, when you can't get up and do much, when you're not motivated to do much. There's a reason for that.
And it's important to know what that reason is.
That's right.
And we're going to help people with their reason. So we're going to go to Evelyn, listening in Syracuse, New York, also listening on WAVA, WAVA. So Evelyn, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Thank you for getting my call, and I appreciate WAVA family, New Life family. Me too. I mean, you're so great. I'm a member. After being so many years not being a member, I said, this is crazy. How can I just listen and get fed and not, I mean, the great thing you do for the people that don't have the money for, the professional help or whatever, and it's like awesome.
Okay, so thank you. So Evelyn, I've got to jump in because I've got to do a little bit of a plug here. We open the show with, hey, what do you do when you can't get into a therapist? If you join Club New Life, you get access to a tremendous amount of therapy.
Oh, that's a good point.
And so thank you for joining Club New Life, and so glad that you're using that resource.
Givers like you sustain us, Evelyn, so thank you.
So, Evelyn, how can we help you today?
Well, okay, I'll try to make it kind of short. 2 weeks ago, it was a Saturday, my husband found out. He went to the bank, and, he takes out money. He stays on top of his money, the balance. And he found out that he was $9,300 and something short. And he asked the teller, he says, oh my God, why am I short? Then we thought back that he didn't even think about it, but he gave access. He don't got no death insurance. He said, in case anything happens, we got signed up so we could have access, any transfer, get money out in case something happens to him, life-threatening or an emergency, a medical. So, we found out it was my son, and that took the money out. First they called me to confirm, then they called him, and he didn't even tell him or nothing, and it was for a car.
Wow.
And, I know. I was like devastated because I didn't even think about him. I didn't think he would do that without permission, and my husband, he didn't want to, but the teller was there. He didn't want to fight over the phone.
Yeah, of course.
The thing about it is, to make it short, we're both avoiders, and I'm a stuffer. And that Saturday, he's a pretty quiet kid. He's a good kid. He lives with his girlfriend and stuff. But we were supposed to see a fight that night, and I was so hyped up and so excited. Moms to be with their son and the girlfriend, and we make a big thing. We bring dinner, but that day, my husband was like, we made up excuse, and my heart broke because I was like full of anger. My husband was too, he couldn't believe it. So my husband used an excuse, say, well, you're not going to make it because I'm going to wake up real early and go fishing. I need to go fishing.
Well, Evan, let me jump in. What is the question for us?
My question is, how do I approach my son? Even though to make it short, he did put a few days after he found out that my husband knew.
Well, I think
9,000.
Yeah,
so how do we approach him?
Yeah, definitely, because I think that this is a great opportunity for you and your husband, even though it is very, very painful. You hear the music. We're gonna come back to this after the break, and so again, hold on. Right now, I want to mention to you that if you give a gift of any amount here in August, we've been talking about this all month, understanding and loving a child with ADHD. I joke around that I need to send my mom this, and maybe loving your adult child with ADHD.
I already sent it to your mom, Chris. She thanked me.
She thanked you. Great. I knew there was something going on there. Yeah. So, but again, also, you join Club New Life, you get a great resources. You get time with God as a devotional, 100 Days of Peace, a life recovery journal, restoration Bible. There's a lot there. Join Club New Life, and we will be right back after this.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, October 15th to the 17th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan and Yerkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship. And then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
And New Life's group counselors will help you focus on the area that will benefit your marriage most. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the New Life member thank you gift of the New Life Journal, 100 Days of Peace, 7 Ways to Choose Healing, Growth Has No Boundaries, a Restoration Bible, and a New Life grocery tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits, like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We have Evelyn on the phone. We've been talking about a very difficult situation she's in. Her and her husband found $9,000 some odd dollars missing from their bank account and knew that their son was the one who had access, took the money, but the bigger problem, there's actually a bigger problem than this, and that is they don't know how to approach, engage, and confront an issue. Milan, she mentioned that her and her husband are avoiders. What do you have for them today?
Well, I loved Evelyn's point that she said we're both avoiders. Plus, she said I'm a stuffer, which means I just stuff stuff down inside. Now, I know I use word stuff twice there. Stuff down inside. But, you know, when you take avoidant people and then you put them into stressful situations like this, they're compelled to do something, but often they don't know what to do. As I said in something just recently, we have to have courage to be biblical Christians, because we're supposed to speak the truth in love, each one of you with his neighbor, and that requires courage. As a former pleaser, I was frightened to speak to people and tell them what I thought or felt. I didn't want to cause a rift. I didn't want to cause a problem. I didn't know how to untangle myself if I did. And that was, 40 years ago. plus, but the bottom line is I had to learn to grow up, which was I had to craft a clear statement with my husband, if I'm Evelyn, and make an appointment or a meeting with my son and say, here is something that really bothers us, and we need to tell you about it. Now, two things. One, I noticed that somebody went fishing, which the next morning, which is to avoid the confrontation. And a lot of people do that. And there's nothing wrong with being alone for the purpose of collecting your thoughts and then also creating some composure within yourself. But we really do have to learn to speak the truth in love, and we have to be able to tolerate the distress it creates.
Mm-hmm. And Evelyn, I want to give you some bullet points for the conversation that Milan is proposing. Because it's always good to start with a confession if you can. Your dad and I have been avoidant, and it's hard for us to have tough conversations.
That's good,
that
Alice.
is
Yeah.
on us.
Mm-hmm.
You put the money back, son. You've been a good kid, a quiet kid, and you did replace the money, and we noticed that. But we're frustrated, and our trust is bruised, maybe even broken. It would help if you would acknowledge what you did, if you would apologize. And then we have to reconsider whether or not we can allow you to have that same access to the bank account.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would actually, at this point, for your financial safety, is take away that access, because there is a trust that has been broken. To take $9,000 from anyone without their consent, there's a word for that. And this word I'm going to use is to break through the denial that avoidants have. He stole $9,000 from you. Mm-hmm. It's really as clear as that, because he did that without consent. And so the most loving thing that you could do for your son is to confront him here. So this isn't just for you. It is absolutely for his well-being. Because if he thinks that this is okay to do, now there's another thing, is that there's something going on underneath him that he's not addressing of why he would do this behavior.
But I'm going to add in another possibility, because Evelyn, if you and your husband weren't clear when you gave him access to the funds, if you've allowed him to remove money in the past, if you've allowed him to take things from you without asking, you may have set things up unintentionally.
Yeah, that's good.
For giving him an unwritten permission that he could use the money, and you weren't going to do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So allow that possibility and consider what you and your husband may have done to set that entitlement up in your son.
Yeah.
So just keep in mind what God does, Evelyn. Just keep in mind what God does with us. God tells us there's a problem. It's called sin. We can't have a relationship with him until it's repaired. He gives us a solution, the cross. And then he says, if you will agree to that, which is to also confess your end of things, we can restore a relationship that's broken. So, I love what Alice said. I love what Chris says. But you guys are going to have to just... that fight you watch, you're going to have to almost create one of your own. It's called the one that you were going to watch.
The fight that you avoided,
the one
you're
that
now
you
going to have.
avoided. Now you have to begin to start a process of engaging with someone in that manner to say something's wrong. We got to talk about it.
And Evelyn, as Milan and I have been avoiders and people pleasers, we know this is incredibly difficult. It sometimes took me years to have this kind of conversation because I so didn't want to rock the boat. So if this is tough for you, we get it.
Oh, absolutely.
Boy, I do too.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. And myself I am a very gifted pleaser. Very gifted at it. And there is a fear inside of us that we carry, that we will be rejected or abandoned or left if we confront something that makes another person uncomfortable or not like us. But what that prevents is closeness. Right. We must learn to have critical conversations. Evelyn, we're going to send you two different books, but are basically the same book. We're going to send How We Love and How We Love Our Kids.
There we go.
And so even though you have an adult son, I just think that this would be both of those resources will help you see how this works out in a marriage, how this works out in family, how this works out in every relationship. When we become secure connectors, we become safe people, we become better for ourselves and everyone around us. Thank you for calling, Evelyn, and we'll be right back right after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in the biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. And right now we have in studio a person that we've helped a lot through the years.
He's needed it.
And now I'm not the only snarky one in the room today.
That's right. But truth be told, that has helped us tremendously, keeping New Life Ministries moving in the right direction, accountable to our godly values, and most importantly, just a great friend and support, Larry Sonnenberg.
Hey, Chris, thank you.
What do you have for us today?
Two things. I just want to remind folks our next live workshop will be Every Man's Battle, September 10, 11, 12 in Houston, Texas. And I know, guys, you know you need it. And I know there's guys that have fallen into it deeper, or maybe for the first time through this pandemic because of all their time on their hands staying at home. But regardless, I know that there is a lot of need for the help that we can give at that workshop. And so please consider it. And ladies...
It's about learning to control your sexuality as males.
And learning why you have fallen the way you have.
Yeah.
And ladies, I know that a lot of the guys that come do so because they're influenced by you. So don't be shy to call and get some information from us. But I wanted to encourage folks to make a gift. I heard you guys plug Club New Life. Thank you. That was great. But in general giving as well, I want to encourage gifts. And here's a testimony I wanted to share. This lady came to one of our staff devotionals one day, and she just wrote this note right after. Steve, thanks for being able to minister to people like me using your gift of humor, as well as God's wisdom. I will forever be grateful for New Life Live for the vehicle God used to save my life. I went back to drinking after almost 5 years in AA because I quit doing the necessary things to stay sober. I thought I'd die drunk. But after 23 years of continuous drinking, I found the radio show and within 11 months went to Healing is a Choice and later Take Your Life Back, as well as participating in sustained healing groups. I've been in recovery for almost 9 years now. I'm alive today because of God and new life. What's a life worth? I know Jesus left the 99 sheep for the one lost. I love all the New Life family. Will continue to give back to what was so freely given to me. You know,
that's beautiful.
It's a saved life.
Yeah.
Somebody that wouldn't be here on the planet anymore if they hadn't engaged with what we do. So I think that's worth supporting as my encouragement, folks. If you want to help save a life, if you want to help get somebody on track, get reintroduced to Christ, there's so many things that happen when people engage here. Holy Spirit makes it happen. God gets the credit, but you can help make it happen. Help us keep doing what we're doing. So thank you.
You know, Larry, you spoke about the general fund, but it costs a lot of money to put this ministry onto the radio.
Yeah.
And Christian radio programs like this one have to pay for their airtime. And it's a lot of money a year. So I think people need to understand that. So thanks, Larry.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody who has been supporting or will. If you're one of those people that haven't and thought, I ought to do that one day, today's the day. Pick up the phone today. Thanks.
Thank you, Larry, so much. Again, we're going to be in studio for a couple hours today, so give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. We'd love to talk to you, and right now we're going to go to Josh in Kylene, Texas, listening on KBBW. Josh, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Talk to us. What do you got going on?
So I was recently just reunited with my wife after a 2-year stint away from her due to my actions, drunkenness, addiction to pornography, addiction to talking to women other than my wife, not forsaking all others. She stayed with me through the thick and thin, and whenever I divulged everything I could to her before our time separated us, she said, I forgive you right away. And I immediately began to work on myself. And with her help and God's help, I was able to quit drinking 3 months prior to us being separated. So, and now I respect her by only having a drink with her if and when it ever happens. If she asks me, that's my honoring to her. So I have that down. Now the lust, it never ends. And I just want to know, what is a man to do to honor his wife and to forsake all others like we vowed? And I think that's the only thing that stayed me, is because she remembered a man before the drunkenness, before all the addiction. And
well, Josh, let me jump in. When it comes to this struggle with lust, what have you done?
What I've done is only get an accountability partner, a gentleman who was actually my behavioral health specialist a couple years ago. He now talks to me, and he's my accountability. I have other men who I talk to about it. Other than that, I just am completely honest with my wife now, unlike before. So now when I have a struggle, I let her know. So that's something I never did before, because I was always too worried about losing her. But by not divulging to her, I took the biggest chance in my life of actually losing her.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just kept on building and building and building.
Well, Josh,
the stuff that I was getting away with.
But Josh, one of the things that has not been addressed is the pain and the fear that is driving these addictive issues.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
In what way do you? The pain and the fear. I don't know. I guess I don't know what they are. And that's what's sad.
Yes, and you said it really, really well. That is what's sad. And what we do with that sadness is we look to escape, especially when we don't know what it is. When we're carrying this, what dis-ease inside of us, this discomfort, we want to displace that. And that we look for an escape mechanism. And that's what I call like the whack-a-mole effect of addiction. We hit one down and just another one pops up because the pain keeps popping it up.
Josh, if someone else read the biography of Josh's life, what would look sad in your story to an outside observer? Pre-addiction.
You would see a man. Oh, sorry.
Pre-addiction. Yep.
Pre-addiction.
Yep.
You would see a man who was sadly abused by his father a couple times. I didn't know I was abused until my wife said that's abuse. He beat me up a couple times just out of anger. I had to protect my sisters as well, and I left the house at 18 years and 10 days old and never returned. And I forgave him, and I told him I forgive him before he died a few years ago. And it was way before way before his death that I forgave him. But up until then, I was just hurt. And unfortunately, I discovered it. I discovered pornography. That was the worst thing. I wish in my heart that my wife was the first thing I ever saw.
Josh, how much time have you spent telling the stories of your abusive father and how frightening and overwhelming that was for you?
I don't know if I've told enough. And so I told my wife finally, and a couple other people know, but I always felt like I don't have a right to tell because nothing happened. Even when I told the police I can't go back to that house, they didn't care. And I went back to that house. So I felt like, oh, I'm wrong. There's nothing going on wrong.
Not only have you not been able to tell the story enough, you haven't had the right listeners, although your wife is probably the first healthy listener that you have. But you need to enter an additional process with all the good work that you've already done of being able to grieve and be angry and be frustrated with your father in telling your story with people, probably other men, who can validate your feelings and who can ask the right questions to get you deeper into your story and what you went through.
So, Josh, there's a couple of things here, and Chris and Alice are talking about the things that drive us to addictions. These traumas, these losses, these internal places of pain in which there's no relational relief. We seek non-relational relief through the variety of addictions you describe. Now we have part two. How do I escape this strong gravitational field of the testosterone that I've been feeding in my brain and actually creating, if you will, a sexually obese brain? How do I then calm this thing down? Because it's on fire and I don't know how to shut it off. It takes time because you took time to build it up, and just like if you were going to lose 100 pounds, it would take time to bring it back down again. And but you can get to the other side. If I had a food addiction for Krispy Kreme donuts and I was used to eating 100 of those a day, a dozen of those a day, it would take time before I could say no to that and then drive by without turning into the driveway, and then to be able to leave a donut on a table and not touch it. It would take time to go through that process to detoxify.
And it takes time, and you said it takes a process. Josh,
Yes.
You have to admit that what you have been doing hasn't worked. So I got fantastic news for you. You live in Texas. Coming up, October 15th through the 17th in Dallas is Every Man's Battle. We'll come back to you after the break, but you're going to start with that action, and we'll be back right after this.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle workshop can help.
After 7 years, he just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Houston, September 10th through the 12th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the New Life member thank you gift of the New Life Journal, 100 Days of Peace, 7 Ways to Choose Healing, Growth Has No Boundaries, a Restoration Bible, and a New Life grocery tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits, like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. So, Josh, we were talking about your next steps. And as I said, what's worked so far really hasn't really gotten you over the hump of this really difficult lust and sexualizing issue in your life. And again, this is very, very common. I had mentioned that we do have a Every Man's Battle coming up in October in Dallas, but actually before that, here's what I want you to do. It's September 10th through the 12th in Houston. So in Houston, we're having an Every Man's Battle there. And I'm telling you, your eyes are going to get opened in ways that was never opened before about the connection of your past to your current struggle, as well as a pathway to what Milan was referring to as a process of healing and growth and restoration. And again, to Milan's point, it takes time, but at least you have something to engage in with that.
And temptation itself is not a sin, because the temptation to lust will be all around us, especially for you men. It's entertaining the temptation and acting on it that moves us into sinful, lustful behavior. But being tempted is not in and of itself a sin.
Yeah. So, Josh.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I did read that book. That was the first book I read apart from my wife whenever we were separated for a little time. And I read the female edition of that, too. I forget what that one's called, but I've read every single book I can think of. But the workshop and getting together with men of the like-minded problems would sound great.
That's the solution, because we can fix the mind problem, or at least address the mind problem, through reading and information. But the biggest problem is in the heart, and that's only going to be resolved through getting connected in relationship.
And they have sustained victory groups as well that stay with you for like a year afterwards, once a week. And so with that shared knowledge that Jason Martinkus shares and the entire crew of counselors there, it's a beautiful weekend. It's a great jump start.
And when you tell your wife you're going, that's just going to ease her heart and rebuild more trust with her.
Absolutely. So we're going to send you a copy of the Life Recovery Bible, and we're going to stay on the line, and we'll get you signed up for that Every Man's Battle right away. So thank you so much for calling in, Josh. We're going to get to the phones one more time. We're going to get to Karen in Dallas, Texas. We're going to stay in Texas. And Karen, are you there?
Yes.
Karen, we're coming up against the end of the show a little bit here, so for time's sake, quickly tell us what's going on in your life.
Well, I'm struggling with issues of overly sensitive, that's my word, to comments that my husband makes, even in general comments of other women, even if he just says, well, I'm a man, I'm attracted to women. My feelings are hurt deeply, and I struggle with it for days.
Karen, can I defend you? Can I defend you, girl?
Yes.
I'm going to take out overly in front of sensitive, and I'm going to say appropriately sensitive. Even with the few sentences you've shared, I suspect your husband is not being cautious and considerate and cherishing your heart with these comments he's making about other women. I'm upset for you.
Thank you. I'm about to cry. You validated me. Because he gets defensive if I bring it up, and it's like I just keep hearing an excuse, another excuse.
His defensiveness doesn't mean you're wrong. It may mean that he's got some shame, and he's in some denial about what he's doing to you.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, girl.
I'm glad I called.
Okay, so Karen, you just got a beautiful female viewpoint there of what Dr. Alice Benton said. Here's a guy's view. your husband is not being sensitive to who you are as a person. He is disregarding you, and he is saying, well, what happens to me will prevail over you. So you don't matter, I matter. And that is something that is destructive and devastating. So you really do need to confront him and tell him that's unacceptable and his excuses don't work anymore. And you need to create a boundary and tell him something different has to happen.
Okay, I told him his people watching needed to happen when I'm not around, because he said it's a habit and he's done it for a long time, and it would be very hard for him not to do that.
You see, and so, a person who has been a thief their whole life has a really hard time walking past a jewelry shop. They're just used to looking in and saying, I think I could get out of there pretty quick with that one. And, when we have addictions, Karen, they are hard to break. And yes, we have been doing them for a long time.
And so you might let your husband know what would really help my heart is if you would be willing for us to get some assistance with this.
And to go to every man's battle as well.
Amen, because this does hurt. And if you keep making these comments or watching women as they walk by, I'll have to protect my heart and pull back a bit from you. I'll have to withdraw.
Or pull back a whole lot.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you. This is a God moment for me right now. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome.
Absolutely. So, Karen, we're so glad that this is helpful for you. We're actually, I'm going to give you a couple things here. I'm actually going to send you a copy of Intimate Deception. And the reason I'm going to send you, I'm going to send you a copy of that is because when we live with someone stuck in sexual addiction, we ourselves can live in denial of it. And so this book will help bring down the scales and help you see accurately about what is really going on. And the sensitivity that you're carrying is your heart. And your husband has not handled your heart well. And by the way, that's his job. Whether he knows that or is aware of that or not, that's kind of his thing. But I also want to say this. Let's say that he is resistant to every man's battle. I know a great way to backdoor every man's battle, and it's Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. Because because our sexual addiction is actually an issue, a deep-rooted issue with closeness and relationship and being intimate. And by going to the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop, it really provides one of the best opportunities for these underlying issues to be exposed and to come into the light. Again, we're going to be doing that in Dallas, October 15th through the 17th, and that will be live. And
I will be discussing this issue in Dallas.
Yes.
Bring him in front of Milan.
I'll be discussing this. Kay and I will be, because it's the majority of men fall into this trap. It's not people watching, it's women lusting, and you have to work. I know. Look, I know, you know, and everybody else here does. Your husband doesn't. So get to that workshop in Dallas. It's right in your neighborhood. So join us, and we'll look forward to seeing you.
I do feel for your husband because this world is such a setup to say that that's perfectly fine for him to do so, and that he's justified. So he needs to hear truth from Milan with grace, and that will help him accept it.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Thank you, Alice. I'll work on that.
Yes, excellent. Okay, so
because look, that's a battle I've had to go through, and all us men do.
Absolutely, absolutely. So give us a call. We're going to be in studio one more hour, so give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. Also, Life Recovery Today with Steve Arterburn every Thursday, 11 Eastern Time on the NRB network. Again, that's 11 a.m. Also, you want to visit us. You've heard a lot about our resources today, and that is www.newlife.com. And if you need help, we're here to help you and help you discover hope and healing in life's hardest places. Thank you so much for being with us today, and may you have a very, very blessed and graced day. We'll see you very, very soon.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.